Hello and welcome to Grossly Competent, the learning, development, and adulting podcast that does not claim to be pretty. No, but we will happily pretend to be slightly competent. I am your host, Steve Council, and I'm joined by my co-host, a man that tests the boundaries of the phrase, if looks could kill, Mr. Patrick Aylshire.
Damn right. You know, I don't always know where Steve is going, but I do know it'll take longer than expected.
God, no truer words. No truer words. Man, you give me one sentence and I'll give you a novel. Well, folks, we're so glad you have decided to come by and visit us for this fine episode today. We have lots of wonderful things to get to. But first, you know what we need to get to, Mr. Patrick, who is our sponsor of the week.
This episode is sponsored by houseplants with high expectations. Too much water? Dead. Too little water? Also dead. Slightly moved 3 feet closer to a window? Believe it or not, dead. Houseplants with high expectations. Keeping guilt green all year long.
Wow. Thanks, big house plants with high expectations. I really am with you on that. Like, I don't understand it. I don't understand how anybody can keep plants alive. Like, I don't know. Like, I do try my best and I can keep them alive to a degree, but then somebody that just really has that knack, it's just, I don't know what it is. Like, I don't know. Are you a plant person?
I have one. It is...
So the answer is no.
I have one, and it is currently alive, and I have kept it alive for over a year because it was a birthday gift last year.
Okay.
Now, if you're in my family and you gave me 3 plants for my birthday last year, I have 1 plant currently, and that plant is alive.
Oh, 33% chance.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
I really am not making fun. Like, honest to goodness, yes, we have like really small plants, like tucked in by like the kitchen and whatnot, but nothing overly wild and crazy. My wife, God love her, she can't keep a plant alive if it was like the foundation of like her own sustenance. Like, she can't do it. It got to the point that I started buying her Lego flowers and plants so she could just build those and put them around the house. Oh yeah. So, and she likes building them anyway. Like, it's something fun for her and my son to do because he likes Lego. But just kind of a funny thing that now if you venture into my house, you might come across some, as a matter of fact, you can maybe barely see it right there, Mr. Patrick. I'm pointing. Yep. Yeah, that is a Lego succulent. You, good sir, you are really famous. I think we may need to talk about something. Have you been cheating the media circuit? Is that what you've been doing?
It had been a while since I was on the news. It had been about 6 months, so I figured it was time to re-up. Now, unfortunately, this situation was not something I necessarily planned to be on the news for, really wanted to be on the news, but I was walking my dog during a little stretch break at work the other day, and I came across a news van that was outside the park down the street from me, and they were unfortunately they were filming and just kind of looking around because there was an accident there the night before. A coach bus had hit a 84-year-old gentleman who was riding his bike, and unfortunately the man died. And so I was just walking past her, and I live like a block or two away, and I had been over there like half hour before that happened, the night before. And so I just was chatting with the cameraman actually about just like, the situation. And so they said, would you like to be on the news? And sure. So they end up like rapid firing like 5 or 6 questions. And I'm glad they cut most of it because I was not prepared for all their questions.
Oh, interesting.
And so I kind of stumbled through a few of them, and fortunately they cut those out. But yeah, it was it's like, why not? Like I'll happy to local resident answer some questions, and it ended up being I kind of forgot about it, to be honest, like later that day because it was like mid-morning. Sure. And I didn't know if it was going to be on, when it was going to be on. I don't really watch like daily news a lot, and so later that afternoon, I got a text from my sister, and she said, "Hey, my neighbor just texted me. Is your brother blah blah Patrick from Milwaukee?" Yeah. She's like, "He was just on the news." So I was like, "Oh yeah." So I had to go back and look it up, and sure enough, yeah, I had like my 10 to 15 seconds of fame.
Oh my! You're giving yourself way too much credit. What I find, and so you are correct, and folks, I am not trying to make light of a tragedy. Like, I'm not trying to make light of somebody's passing by any stretch of the imagination. So please do not take any of this as such. What I found so funny is you just happen to be near. They're like, "Oh, we got a resident expert." What? You have legs. You've walked near this area. Like, yeah.
Well, when I was chatting with them, I said, I was actually over here last night. Oh, did you see it? I'm like, no, it was like half hour before. But I saw something on, it was like on Reddit.
Oh, okay.
Oh, what was, anyone know what's going on down by Cathedral Square? Oh, well, I need to know that. I live down there. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then I just said, well, I live up the street a couple blocks away, and oh, cool. Let's talk to this guy. But I said something like, "Do you have a podcast?" And I said, "Yes, Grossly Competent. It's wherever you get your podcast." And that didn't make the news.
That's so weird. That is what I texted you when you shot me the message. I was like, I would have given you $7 if you had said anything about Grossly Competent. Like, I'm definitely gonna be talking about this on Grossly Competent. But yes, I get why. I get why they spoke to you, right? Like, I totally get that. And it's just, to me, what I found so funny is it's like, oh, you were in that area half an hour prior, along with thousands of other people. Yeah. You just so happen to be like, oh, a news van. I better see what's up. Like, it's so, like, I don't know. I found that so funny, and I probably laughed way too hard, to the point that I was like crying. I was laughing, right, watching this clip, because like underneath your name, it's like lives locally or something. Yeah, exactly. Like residently or something. Well, I was like, oh my God.
Brother-in-law, not the famous Joe, my other brother-in-law was like, dude, you're out there plugging your dog, talking about living locally, and this guy gets drilled by a bus and dies, and you're out there, my dog Callie.
Normally at this point in time, I'd want to settle down with a nice non-alcoholic beverage. Thank goodness for Zero Proof Pass. Folks, what we're trying to tell you is you need to capitalize any moment you get.
Just suck it in quick.
So
I was over here about half hour before it happened, after I was done flipping through my Zero Proof Pass. I can't believe this tragedy happened. Terrible.
Well, what I was saying about when I was watching this clip and I was laughing, it was just because obviously I know you, and it's just, to me, there's the absurdity of like, yeah, okay, you live locally and you happen to be near there once during this time. Like, it's so random, right? And I was laughing to this, and I was like, oh, to my wife, I'm like, you gotta watch this. And she's expecting like some hilarious clip. And I didn't really think it through. It obviously starts out like it's somber. Like it's a tragedy. Like that something happened to this poor individual. And she looks at me with the most disdain possible. Like, how gross of a person are you? And the answer is, well, my face is gross. But then she saw you and she's like, oh, okay. And I had to explain to her. I'm like, and explain exactly what I just did to all of you. So I won't repeat it 58 times, but it just made me chuckle is really what it came down to, and chuckle with tears running down my face. So yeah. So have you had any questions about my morals? I don't have them, but it made me smile. But you want to know what else made me smile?
Yes, I do.
It's a really weird segue.
Sure.
No, this was like what, 3-4 days ago, was it, that I sent you? You mentioned Reddit, so I'm going to mention Reddit. I was perusing Reddit, and I saw a really old clip of Matt Damon being interviewed. I did not know this, but he comes from his, I don't know if both of his parents, but at least his mother is a teacher or was a teacher.
Yes.
And the clip, I can't remember what somebody posted it as. It's something like, shout out to the time that Matt Damon stood up for teachers' rights or something like that. I will make sure I put this in the show notes because it is awesome. And it's something that you and I have talked about, but I'm going to kind of paraphrase some of it. The interview, if you will, it only lasts like a minute or so. It's not very long, but the interviewer poses this question to Matt Damon as he is standing next to his mother. They are at this rally trying to uphold like teachers' rights and give them more money and stuff like that, like for teachers union. And the interviewer says something along the lines of like, well, you're an actor and it's important for you to set yourself apart from other actors. Like, so you have an incentive to be as good of an actor as you can be. Well, shouldn't the same apply for teachers? And his response is awesome. He just deadpan looks right at her. He goes, you think job insecurity is what fuels my acting? Like, you think I'm so terrified of not getting another gig that's the motivator? Not like because I love doing this or something like that. And that's what he follows it with is like, you do realize that teachers make shit for a salary, right? Like they do this because they genuinely love what they do. They love working with students. They love watch people learn. And you're out here trying to like commoditize, like make it a commodity there. But the greatest kickback is when the cameraman of all people, the cameraman's like, I've got this. I'm going to chime in now. Wow. Okay. The cameraman says he makes up a stat, like, and it's legitimately made up. He's like, well, 10% of all teachers are bad. So they don't deserve this raise or like this increase in salary. And Matt Damon looks at me. He's like, wait, what? How do you know that? How do you know 10% of all teachers are bad? He's like, well, 10% of any profession is bad. And his response is, well, maybe you're a shitty cameraman, but I don't know that.
That was great.
I mean, it's awesome. Now that you have the play-by-play, now you have to watch the actual video and go, wow, Steve's terrible at recapping video. But it is so awesome. And you and I were actually just talking off air about teaching. And so it's one of those things that just was very fresh in my mind of, okay, kind of cool. I don't know. It brought me a smile. I love it because I think teachers are amazing. Present company excluded, of course, Patrick, obviously. Right. No, genuinely, teachers are the foundation of every great aspect of our country and the world and whatnot. We should be much better to our teachers.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
That's
Do you
my
know where
soapbox.
Matt Damon went to school?
No.
Harvard.
Oh, I feel
know
like
that
I did know that.
because I toured Harvard when I was in Boston. Took a little tour as like a kind of a touristy thing. And,
yeah, I know it wasn't for going to school.
Oh God, no, that was not going to happen.
that was such a dick move.
It was great. Absolutely.
No,
not.
that's awesome though.
It was a few years ago. Yeah, 2024. I think I was there, and it's kind of neat just to like they point out like that was his dorm room, and you're like, oh
wow.
God. Just imagine just like walking around campus with not knowing that the person that you're in the dorms with is going to be a very famous actor.
Yeah, and that's pretty wild. Yeah, everybody you pass could be somebody special. Maybe you happen to be walking by and you see a news van and you turn into someone special right there. Just saying.
Perhaps you and I individually are walking down the streets and someone's like, that guy could be a famous podcaster or something. I don't know about his face. Maybe they're going to have to, he's definitely got a face for podcasting.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Yeah. They're like, wow, I've seen that face before. Oh yeah, I have, like in a puddle of mud.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's where I've seen that. All right. Did anything wild and besides your let's call it 4 seconds of fame? Besides your 4 seconds of fame, any other cool things happened to you this week?
No, I just had one random LinkedIn message actually this morning. It was a plug for. They wanted to know if it was the gist was do I struggle with getting clients to sign up for XYZ, whatever that I'm apparently peddling. And I saw a post that I sent to you the other day. I thought was great.
Yeah.
This I don't know who the person was, but I was like, that's really funny. I think it was just like something that came up because someone else how LinkedIn works. Someone else I followed liked it or commented on it. So I was like, oh, that's pretty good. So I'm like, Steve will like this. And this guy that posted this thing said basically, for me to like navigate, figure out who is a bot, who's not, I will in messages now, I will respond. Before I answer their question, my first response will be, by the way, were you on season, let's say, 10 of America's Got Talent or American Idol or one of those shows or whatever? Yeah. And then I see what they say. He goes, because if it's a bot, they ignore the question and then they just keep talking. But if it's an actual person, they will say, they'll chuckle or they'll like, we'll get into some fun little dialogue before we get into the conversation. Yeah. So I use that today with my response. I am waiting on pin to see if they are responding, but I think it's a good idea. Yeah. I know I've certainly brought up like my little techniques, but at the same time, I mean, mine are definitely more cruel. I mean, they're more vindictive, I guess is what I'm trying to get at. But that one I feel like has a great way of actually fostering a decent relationship with somebody if it's used correctly. Like if it's an actual human being and you drop that, they kind of get a chuckle and like, no, it's not me. Okay. Like fair enough. But because you never know who's on the other side of it. If the bot does respond, then I can go to your angle and then fire off. So it's like a quick little.
See? Ooh, it's a 2-tiered system. Yeah. I like that. I like that a lot. That's awesome. All right, man. So there is something that I don't know. Definitely the algorithms are listening to me. And I assume they listen to you too, right? I stumbled on an article about, I don't know, a couple days ago, something like that. And it was an article from the Economic Times. And I kid you not, this is the name of the article. Psychology says employees may call in sick not because they're too ill to work, but to avoid micromanaging boss or unsupportive colleagues. And I swear to you, that is that's the name.
I don't think it's long enough.
Like, wow, that's not a snippet title. That's like this is the first sentence of what I did on my summer vacation. Like, no, man. All right. So I guess it still caught my attention because I was like, I love psychology things. I'm fascinated by this topic, and I have had micromanaging bosses before, so you've roped me. Hey, Uggos. Patrick and I constantly talk about our own mishaps and pains and really just about anything about our adulting lives and workplace. But we'd love to hear your questions for us. So what have you always wanted to ask Patrick and I, but just haven't done yet?
To do this, we'll need you to reach out to us. And you can do so by going to our Instagram @grosslycompetent or send us an email, grosslycompetent@gmail.com. We'll pick through and read off our favorites in an upcoming episode. I love this topic already because micromanagers are the worst.
Yeah.
And we haven't even started talking yet, but I'm already pumped up.
Well, and that's genuinely what I want to talk about. I want to talk about micromanagers, but I'm going to admit this article is not great. Like, I bet it was probably some AI generated BS, but they did reference a study, which they link to so you can kind of dig into it a little bit. And there were some very interesting aspects of the study itself. I mean, dude, the basis of the study is, and this is me paraphrasing, are people more likely to call in when work sucks? Yeah. Yep. That's the answer. Like, you need to do a study on that. But they took their data and they dug in further and further. And these were some of the stats that they were able to glean from that information. So there was 3 of them that I pointed out. Problems with a supervisor increased the likelihood of taking sick leave by more than 3.5 times. So I thought, oh, fascinating. The second one was problems with colleagues increased the likelihood by nearly 4.7. So there was actually more gravitas towards colleagues. The last one, and I think this probably ties in mostly with like everything, and that is anticipating a very stressful work situation more than doubled the likelihood of reporting sick. And these compounded onto each other. So I was like, oh, that's wild. Like, that's so interesting.
And those stats may very well be accurate. I mean, I wouldn't personally want to come to work all that often if I felt smothered by a leader. Yeah. And the second one regarding the problems with colleagues, I think that makes sense as well, because there's just definitely so much added stress in the workplace when you have to walk on eggshells.
Oh God.
So you're not only maybe concerned about your micromanager, but other colleagues who might be acting similarly, or they're nervous, you're nervous, things just kind of come up that maybe the communication isn't there because no one wants to say anything because they're worried about that. So I can definitely see that being an issue.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that drew me to this. Like, despite just and I will put the article in the show notes, read at your own risk. Like, it's mediocre, dude. Like, it really is. Like, if you have even the semblance of critical thinking skills, you'd be like, yeah, cool. But I did at least appreciate some of the data that it was producing. I thought that part was interesting, but just like the bantering commentary, like, yeah, man, as you just so clearly said, if something sucks, people don't want to interact with it. Wow, who knew? Like, that's so crazy. But neither here nor there. That was really one of the things I wanted to kind of focus on. That's something that I feel like we have not really touched on this podcast. And that is, we talk about being a good leader. We talk about what it means to run an effective team. Like, we've had those conversations, but we've never really talked about the converse side of that being micromanagement, which is such a toxic, corrosive experience for the person that is micromanaging and for the individual being micromanaged. So I just thought it would be worth us like what is, so for anybody out there listening, if they're going, well, what is micromanage? Like, I thought we could kind of start with having that conversation. Like, what is it? And then like, why does somebody become a micromanager? Because there are telltale signs of why somebody typically does. And if you are either the individual that's falling into that trap, or you yourself are being micromanaged, hopefully with our conversation, we can kind of give some tips on this is what I would recommend you do, because I have certainly worked with micromanagers before. Like, I've been micromanaged, and I have certainly had to, unfortunately, resort to micromanagement against my better judgment. But that's all things I'll explain, and I'll give my reasonings why. And I'd love for your side of it too, because you've had a very different work history and experience than I have.
Yeah. And I'll definitely get into that too. I've just, off the top of my head, I'm been very fortunate in my learning development career the last 8 years that I've had such good luck. Very, very fortunate to have some amazing people managers, people leaders, whether I was in manufacturing, the entertainment industry, and now the public sector. Just had some like rock star managers. And it's awesome. Words I throw around, which we won't probably talk about with micromanaging, are autonomy, trust, and flexibility. All those like stick out to me with what I've been able to experience in a few different positions I've had in learning development. And so I'm looking forward to this conversation on the other side of the micromanaging world. Yeah.
And well, I definitely want to make sure we hit on the idea of trust, because that's so pivotal with micromanagement. Like, it's paramount. Like, so just so everybody is aware, like, so we can have a shared language on this, a micromanager is someone that excessively supervises employees. Like, you try to control every task, every function, every detail of any and all projects that your team has. And what it boils down to is you either believe yourself to be able to do it better than those that are tasked for it, or you might be hiding something. And we'll kind of get into that a little bit more. But does that feel like a fair, I don't know, definition?
Yeah, I would say it's not always everything, but it's maybe a majority or a lot.
Sure. That's an extremely fair point. Yes, I shouldn't use those.
There's like certain aspects absolutes. Of things. Yes, there's certain aspects of things that they definitely want to control. And it could be for a variety of reasons, but a lot of times it becomes very apparent after that the individual, you as the individual, feel and notice that you might be being micromanaged.
Oh God, yeah, and it's God, it's so rough. It's rough, and you kind of mentioned this like becoming part. Like, how does somebody become, or like, why on earth does somebody in their wildest dreams ever even think like, I should micromanage? That's a good idea. Because I just said earlier, like when I was introducing this, I flat out said wide open, I have had to resort to this. And I will explain why. Like, so the allure, if you will, of micromanagement is that it often will give you short-term gain to spite your long-term effect. And that has to do with your team start to have like the trust dissolves, their morale drops, they don't feel a creative license in the things they're doing. They, as you said earlier, autonomy, that is just vanquished. So once again, why on earth would anybody, yours truly especially, like, why would I ever want to do that? Well, I'll give you an example. The time that I had to do it is when I had caught an employee not doing their job for the better half of 5 months. despite them claiming it and having all these grandiose reasons of, yeah, exactly. Right. Like, oh, I'm waiting on this person, or I can't do this. Like, everything seemed to be this far greater struggle. And then when it came time to deliver, and I hope I at least come across as being a pretty laid back person. Yes, I have my quality and my standards, but if you have a different way of approaching it, hell, Patrick and I constantly have different ways of approaching things, but it's like, yeah, you do you, man. Like, I get it. It's all good. As long as we hit the finish line in the same way, that's great. I don't care. Cool. When this happened and it became all too abundantly clear that this was kind of a ride I was taken for, the action I needed to take to make sure that this did get done effectively was I had to resort to micromanagement. I'm like, okay, I want to be CC'd on every single email. I want this. I want this. I want daily reports. I had to hammer down. And the craziest part is in 1 week, everything shifted. Like, he was more productive. He got all these things done, but it didn't last because nobody wants to last in that kind of an environment. That's gross. So we have since parted ways, and that's fine, whatever, but it was just not a right fit, apparently. And that's, so be it. That's fine. But so if you're ever asking yourself, like, why am I being micromanaged? Something happened, like, and might not necessarily be you that did it. There's an outside influence. Something has triggered it to happen because most people don't want to do it.
It could be also a lack of trust from that leader.
Yes.
And in your situation, same thing. You had an employee who was working so hard, it sounds like, for months on end. And you had to, you had to shift gears a little bit and say, okay, now I need to be like mother hen here and like watching over you all the time. You don't want to do that. No. But the expectations are that your employee does their job. And this doesn't sound like it was a slip up here or there. It was a long time of not really doing anything. And so that, again, that was a lack of trust. There might be pressure from above. Maybe there's that manager's manager, where I've had that situation in my former career. It was similar situation where I was micromanaged a bit. A handful of people were micromanaged a bit due to the actions of the micromanagers micromanaging boss, you know?
Oh,
so
boy.
It was just kind of, you could see it, and you almost, you were frustrated, but also you could see and sense why your boss was acting that way due to someone else that was even above their pay grade.
Yeah. And it's, gosh, when it's a circumstance like that, it's so hard, right? Because, like, it's so easy to vilify. Hell, we talked about this a little bit last week. Like, people are more likely to edit than create. Well, it's also really easy to make commentaries on other individuals because we don't know the entire story. With all of that being said, yes, we are our own autonomous individuals, but we all do feel that pressure. Like, we all feel those exerted forces of like, oh, like, okay, I got to get this done as best I can. I'm relying on all of you. If you don't deliver properly, then that's going to reflect on me. And then I have to deal with it. Like, it's tough. It's a really tough thing. It can be kind of a cascade, like you were saying, where you were kind of dealing with micromanagement's inception. Right?
Yeah.
Like a Russian doll kind of thing. Like, wow, it's just all micromanage on the way down. Holy hell. So to kind of like build into this a bit more about just the negative impact is ultimately what being a micromanager is like. The manifestation of is just telling your team, I do not trust you to do this the right way unless I am holding your hand.
Yeah.
And seriously, who out there even remotely is like, that's the way I want to be managed?
Children.
No.
They want their hands held. That's
all and I would even and I genuinely I'm going to disagree to a point. Like very young children, like 3 and stuff like that, even then are like, no, I want to do it. And then they'll sit there and they'll struggle for a half an hour. You're like, oh God, like we needed to leave 30 minutes ago.
Square goes in the freaking square peg, not the circle.
Yes. But then when you do it for them, then they're mad, right? Like, and there are times that, like, I mean, my kids absolutely like, Mom, Dad, I need help with this. Okay. They're asking for it. So their autonomy is still in check. They have asked for the assistance. But if I just go and do it, they not only didn't learn anything, they have a bit of a resentment. Like, I could have done that. Like, well, as a matter of fact, oh man, I'm throwing myself under the bus here. I'm really weird about making sure blankets are like picked up in my living room because for some reason I'm the only one in this family that knows how to fold one. I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. And like every night when we kind of like all hang out and watch a little show before bed or something like that, everyone's got a little blanket and that's cool. Whatever. I don't care. But then when I'm trying to like teach my kids like, hey, when you're done with that, why don't we fold it up and put it on the couch? And there's been plenty of times where like say my son is doing it and there's effort. He's got the effort in there, but I'm like, oh, that is okay. And what I will find myself in, and I've caught myself from, I think where I'm going with this is he'll do it, he'll hang it up, and when he turns to walk away, I'll grab it and I'll like kind of clean it up a bit, and then he turns and he sees that. I'm like, oh, that was like I have since caught myself from doing that. Like, you've said, that's not fair.
Well, and you've stopped saying, son, that's a blanket, not a fitted sheet. Why can't you fold that?
Oh, no, I don't do that.
I'm waiting for him to fire back and say, Dad, this house is lived in clean. We don't need to fold blankets. It's lived in clean.
It is lived in clean. Dude, if this was a non-just audio podcast, I would do a pan around of the room I'm currently in and be like, that is not lived in clean. That is, wow. Okay. But I'm only one man.
I think that's a great point you brought up though. If you want to try to like, they're learning, you put the effort in to fold the blanket. It wasn't perfect, but that you have to kind of then ask yourself, okay, is it okay? Am I going to be that much of a perfectionist? Am I going to lose sleep over if I walk away? Am I going to remember the blanket was not the corners weren't totally touching? And so it's just I think something people have to learn to live with, that it's not that big of a deal. But the idea, the big deal is your son learning about cleaning up and saying, let's try to keep this room a little more organized so we don't, it's like walking in the room with the bed unmade, right? Like we do that. It doesn't have to be perfectly made bed, but the idea is that studies show this, making your bed is a great way to start the day because it leads to other little daily habits that compile and over. And so, yes, I think that's a great.
Yeah. And you're touching on something, and that was going to be my next point. And that is like, so in this case, I was being a bit of a micromanager. Like, it's a small thing, but it doesn't need to be massive. And it's okay to have, what's the term? I'm drawing a blank, but it's okay to have standards. That's what I was going to say. Like, it's okay as a leader. It's okay for you to have standards, but it's also very important that you have those standards. You have to give your team an opportunity to rise to the occasion. If you're a good leader, they will eventually rise to those standards. Maybe not immediately, just like everybody ever didn't rise to those standards automatically. Like you and I, we talk pretty regularly about, like, say, presentations. right? Like, hey, maybe don't have an entire text blocks of like Moby Dick on the presentation slide. Like maybe we reduce that. You and I can joke around and make those sarcastic remarks to one another. But if that is our team member and we're making those kinds of remarks and we're being snide about it or going in there and correcting it for them, that really gives the wrong impression. And we're not allowing them the opportunity to grow, have that autonomy, and build that trust with us. Like, I can do this. You can trust me to do it.
Yeah, I think it's giving those suggestions.
Yeah.
Based on, and maybe you have to steer it kind of where you want to go, because it could be that's what the expectations are, but allowing that person to grow in their own role. And which gets me to some questions then. You kind of touched on one before, Steve, about what is a micromanager. You mentioned about you had to CC, the gentleman had to CC you on the emails. Like, what are some other things that you're aware that micromanagers do? Sure.
I mean, the CC thing on like all emails that are directed to a specific project, like that is a hallmark example, like through and through. Folks out there, if your manager is asking for that, it's not because they love reading emails. They are collecting receipts. That's what it is. They're collecting receipts to make sure you are doing exactly what they want.
And I want to make a point to jump in quick that we're talking about like every email. Okay. There's times where you might be, your manager might say, hey, I'd like you to email this person. Maybe it's something that's not getting done. You're like reaching out to a different department, and you're going to CC on them on that email because you're saying, hey, my manager's on this. So I've reached out a couple times. Let's say I'm associate level. I've reached out. I'm not hearing any responses. Well, hey, now I've got my manager on here. And they're going to be, you talked to your manager already saying, hey, I'm not getting any, anywhere with this issue. Yeah. And so they say, throw me on the CC. Great. Now it sets that precedent of, hey, a manager or people leader's involved. But to what you were getting to was that they want to be on everything.
Yes.
They want to watch over you. They're collecting receipts, as you mentioned.
I mean, that's really the best way I can explain it. It's receipt collection. It's you are compiling a database of information on exactly what this individual is doing on a regular basis. Who are they speaking to? What are they speaking about? How much time are they burning in between these emails? Like, it's honestly overbearing. Like, and it sucks. It absolutely sucks. I'm so glad that the amount of time I had to do that lasted so little. Like, I'm so thankful because it felt like I was walking around in someone else's skin, and I hated it. Like, it was just so awful. At least it'd been nice if they were better looking. Like, if they would have been really nice, like if it would have been like Brad Pitt or something like okay. Sure. But so let me see what's here. The CC thing, that's like a hallmark sign. They are often late on delivering on projects because they're overburdening themselves with your stuff and their stuff. So like they'll do yours, but when it comes to their own things, they start to fall behind. And that is absolutely the truth. Like, yeah, I told you about that. So one of the things I'll get into a little bit later on are, if you are being micromanaged, what should you do? And that is one of the things we'll get into. So there's that. Focusing on details that just aren't super important. Like, you have a project, you have very nitpicky. Like, I'm sorry, I don't like that you called this East. Can you change that? I'm sorry, what other words would you like me to use? Like land of the rising sun? Like, I don't, what? But then they're also the same ones that you can be like, well, I also noticed that you're using north and south. Like, how come you can use that? And I like, so it's just like, that's weird. That's random. But like, you know what I mean? They're never satisfied with whatever deliverables you give them. They're not, because it's not what they would have done necessarily. They'll find these little critiques, the smallest, most minutia of what you gave them, they're going to look and they go, I wouldn't have done it that way. Like, I noticed that you shadowed the text on this. I wouldn't have done that. That has nothing to do with anything. Like, what? Who cares? That's not the content. That's filler. That's aesthetic. Like, well, so that's,
they also will give you all this stuff to do, and then sometimes tell you exactly how it should be done.
Yes.
Versus, if there's that wiggle room, give your employees the benefit of the doubt. Now, it could be, and I'm not talking about, let's say, for example, like when we build presentations, we have our standard colors that we use that are the company organization. So we use that that, let's say, PowerPoint slide deck. We have a logo. We have this. Those are, I don't want to say required, but like recommended that people use those when they're building out their slides. And as a team, we have also picked a specific font to use for like the base slides. So like the title slides, things like that. And when we're getting to different chapters, we use the same font because that is consistent.
Yeah, makes sense.
But that's not well, I noticed that, you put a little extra space here or that, like it's not getting so overly critical.
Hey friends, we love doing this, and if you like what you're hearing and want to support the show, here are the best ways possible.
Subscribe, follow, and give a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you get your podcasts.
You can visit us on Buzzsprout at grosslycompetent.buzzsprout.com. Here you can become an active supporter.
Or give us a shout on Instagram at grosslycompetent.
And please tell your friends, family, coworkers, or that awesome learning and development person at your company about this podcast. We appreciate all of you more than you know. Any support out there you can throw our way truly means the world to us. We're grateful we get to bring it to you each and every week.
And now, back to the show.
Exactly. When you look at something as basic as what you're saying, right? Like a slide, you have one sentence on it, and they're like, I noticed that you used the word and, but not the ampersand.
Yeah.
Is there a reason for that? Like, what? It's the same thing. Like, so that right there, that's micromanagement. Like, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be from somebody that's your direct manager. It's just somebody that's affiliated with a project that you might be working on. Like, so it can come from a multitude of different directions. So it's important to at least be aware of what it looks like. And we all have that feeling. And it's the feeling that when you're done talking to them, you're like, am I taking crazy pills?
Yeah.
Like, that's really not that important, right? Like, that's so weird.
That actual example happened to me, Steve.
What? Taking crazy pills?
The and.
No, it did it really?
Yeah, but I was working at Procter & Gamble.
Oh, God. I was actually like genuine, like, are you serious?
But that would annoy me so much.
But it's such like a, yeah, I could belabor the point until the day I die, but I hope I don't know. I feel like that gives a good enough representation without beating this into the ground of like, we all get that gut feeling like something is not right. And when you start feeling like every single thing you're doing is being questioned and the things being questioned are really mundane.
Yeah.
Congratulations. You are working with a micromanager. Like that's it.
With that, I have some suggestions since you, unfortunately, that one time had to be a little bit more of a micromanager.
Yeah.
I've got some suggestions for what the listeners can do if they find themselves being a micromanager and maybe
nice.
Their intentions, they don't want to be one, but they're finding that they are falling into a little bit of a trap, we'll say.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
And
love it.
A few of those are I love the word delegation. Okay?
Yeah.
Delegate what needs to be done and leave out the how. If you have that
Nice.
flexibility, this is what I would like to have you complete, but then let them find their way there.
Yes.
So
Yes.
give them the autonomy, give them the flexibility to create that presentation on new leader skills, right? Maybe you say, hey, we just want to make sure that we're hitting these 4 points because they align with the standards of our company,
Sure.
whatever, right? And say, hey, don't forget to use the colors that we use at this company. Okay, great.
Sure.
But let them get there on their own, you know? I think
Yes.
that's just a good thing to try.
Well, and I think on that note, like to kind of further that even, make sure that your definition of success is understood by everybody. Like really, you have a project, right? Like as you said, delegate the what. So what are we doing? Well, we are doing whatever. We're making this presentation for this client. Okay, cool. They now know they have their pecking order and their marching orders, of like, this is what I need to accomplish. That is the definition of success. That's what you need to focus on. You do not need to focus on the minutia, the small bits of detail. That is, quite frankly, what you pay them for. Like I feel like I've said this on a previous episode, and if I haven't, forgive me. But when you're in the front line, like, so you're the one that's creating a product, material, presentation, whatever it happens to be, you are the closest thing to it. And as you kind of slowly pull back into the corporate setting, if you will, the picture gets bigger. You're say like I'm a director of learning and development. Ooh, let me adjust my tie, right? What that ultimately means is I not only need to understand the small details, but I also need to understand how those small details fit into the grander scheme of things.
Yeah.
So in this circumstance, if I tell somebody like, hey, we need to make a training on, I don't know, leading without authority. Great. Okay. And these are some of the touch points that we want to make sure that we address in there. As long as there is a presentation that was built and those touch points are in there, fantastic. If there's nothing super egregious in there, well, then that's a success. It wins. If it's not like loaded with clip art or something like that, be like, okay, congrats. That's great. If you throw in terrible clip art, well, then I might call you on it. Be like, this just doesn't look professional. That's not me being nitpicky or micromanagey. That's me seeing the grander picture of what's relevant for everyone. Like, well, this would make it look cleaner. Oh, okay. But it's up to you on what you want to use. You want to use a picture from your phone or something? Great. Like you even said that, right? Like that you use a picture from your phone and like it worked wonders.
I got that from our friend Greg Tall.
Yes. But the idea is that when you define success, it makes it easier for everybody else to follow suit.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's important too, if you are on maybe a bit of a crunch time, set some deadlines is okay to do as a manager, but also have those check-ins. So let's say, hey, we've got this due in 3 weeks. I'd like this to be complete, check in every 3-4 days, maybe after you like break it up into like sections. So okay, we're going to do 5 days on this part, 5 days on this, 5 days on that, and have those check-ins. Say, how are things going? Do we need to make any adjustments? Do you need any help with anything? And your employee will feel that trust that they can come to you and say, hey, first week was awesome. This was great, but I'm struggling a little bit here. I wouldn't mind some support to finish up this part of the project. And so then you're balancing, you're also creating that good dialogue, and that's where that trust can start to form as well. Yeah.
Oh God, without a doubt. And on that, like you're opening up the dialogue, right? So with that, just being as communicative as you possibly can. Without being overbearing, might I add, like just be transparent. I like the term open door policy, right? Like, hey, if you want to come to me If you have questions, that's great. You don't need to rely on me to do it for you, because I have every faith in the world you can do it. And I should, right? And if I don't, well, isn't that really the problem? Like that's the real issue. Which actually kind of ties in with what should you do if you're being micromanaged, right? Yeah. Well,
not necessarily to everyone to get up and just leave their jobs.
No, but you're not entirely wrong. I mean, it really depends. And this is not a panacea. Like, I promise you that whatever I'm about to splurt out is not going to be the cure-all if you happen to be micromanaged. What I can offer to you is advice based off of my own experience as somebody that was micromanaged. The short version is, if they're keeping receipts on you, you need to keep your own. And that means holding as much communication as possible, being as open as you possibly can, but making sure that you hold those records, because believe it or not, depending upon the severity of the micromanagement that might be taking place, that can be viewed as a hostile work environment. And I know that sounds like super, I don't know, kind of new agey, but yeah, like it's absolutely the truth. I mean, we just said it earlier, right? Like a poor situation or a perceived dire work situation more than doubles your chances of calling in if you just have like the sniffles. And it's like, dude, okay, whatever. If it's your manager, it's, what was the numbers? Let me look it up here. It's 3.5 times you're more than likely. If it's your fellow coworkers that are feeding into it, it's 4.7. So have those receipts, for lack of better term, because that then acts as your guide for a conversation, not so much with the individual that's micromanaging you, but with their manager and possibly HR, to say, like, this is what's going on. I guess I'm not entirely sure how you'd like me to proceed here. And genuinely, if they don't, work with you, then you have to start asking yourself, like, okay, what are my options? And I agree with you, Patrick. I am not asking anybody to just quit your job, because that sucks. But you do need to be honest with yourself and just ask, like, is this really what I want to be doing for the long term?
This is a place I want to be.
Yeah.
If I can't even get someone like an HR on my side, if they think, it's nothing. I mean, so that's some unfortunate situation if that does occur. But
honest to goodness, sorry, I'm interrupting you, but and I kind of want to wrap this out after you say your piece too, just because I know we're running long. But this is a great topic. I did this once. Like I said, I had a micromanager. I've had a couple, but I had a micromanager, and I did exactly this. I was a pack rat with communication. Like every single thing, I'm like, oh, when do you want this due by? What do you want? Like I hammered those details, and I eventually went to their manager and I included HR. Like, look, guys, you pay me to do a job. I'm doing it. This is my proof. This is my evidence. But it appears that no matter what I am doing, it's not good enough. So I guess I just don't know how I should proceed. And I kid you not, obviously I wasn't privy to those conversations that were had with my manager, but things drastically improved. And it turns out that there were some outside pressures, perhaps, that were influencing this individual, because they were not always like that. So it was kind of one of those, and we all lived happily ever after moments, which was great. But boy, it was a slog to get to that. It's not fun. It's a really tough, almost dare I say, unbearable experience at points.
Sure. Yeah, and I think it just, in my experience too, it's just, you have those confidants at work, maybe your your coworkers, that are you noticing this too? Is this just happening to me? And you can start to see a trend, or maybe for some reason, if it's just on you, then that's a little bit more ammo to like not to fire back with, but like also to say, hey, this is not maybe a good fit for me because
Mm-hmm.
you are maybe, it could be that stress. It could be, and talking about like not only mental health, but we said the facts or the stats of people calling out sick, but you could literally get yourself sick
Mm-hmm.
of worry from stress,
Absolutely.
from the anxiety. And I think it's, that has to be taken, I think, seriously and just something to consider when things aren't going.
And I do feel like to that credit, I do feel like organizations are starting to take that more seriously, that kind of mental health aspect of it, of like, oh, that is a big deal. Oh, sorry, I thought I had a visitor. So with that, that's a great call. Making sure you have a solid support. Maybe that's kind of really it, right? Like, you don't want an echo chamber necessarily, but it is important to have somebody that you can confide in at work and just be like, this is crazy, right? Like, this doesn't make any sense. And let them give you their honest opinion. Like if they're like, no, that you screwed up, or it's like, oh, okay, then you kind of have to check yourself. But if they're seeing the same oddities too, okay, well then there's really something there. So
For sure.
Yeah, nice. Is there anything else? I feel like we covered everything. Is there anything?
I think we hit the nail on the head.
Well, do you know, Patrick? Do you know who has never had to micromanage our ugliness?
Spinaruski.
You dang right, this has been a Rooski. It is, folks. While Mr. Patrick fires up the wheel, a reminder for our new listeners. Each episode we spin the Spinarooski, which is a wheel of names that might belong to the woman who so generously shoved Mr. Patrick and I into the Ugly Club all those years ago. And the goal is that eventually we'll land on her name so we can thank her properly. You ready to rock this, biz?
Let's spin it up.
Spin that Rooski. Boom, 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 boom.
Shelby.
Wow.
I didn't know she was in that night.
I didn't know. Maybe she was. Maybe she wasn't. I don't know. Shelby. Wow. Well, thank you so much for everything you have given us. Thank you for living rent-free in our heads. Thank you for all that you have done to help us build the Ugly Club. We appreciate you more than you know.
Shelby, it's been a while. Reach out to us. Let us know how you're doing.
Man, that would be my dream. And it really, really, really is.
Yes.
I would love it. But it has to, I'm really tempting fate here that it would be awesome if all of a sudden we got a random email amongst the emails that we have been receiving, which is great, to say, hey, I'm the one that pushed you guys. Be like, that'd be so awesome.
To meet you now.
And I hope it is Shelby. That'll be our last episode ever. Yeah, so maybe they can wait like several thousand episodes.
Yes, please.
Yeah, we'll be doing this in our 70s. Yeah. So,
Steve, it is time to do some shout outs, and I'm just going to kick it over to you because I think you've got a good one.
I do.
You kept telling me how famous I am for having my 15 seconds of fame on the news, but you are way cooler than I am.
I know.
You are invited on all the cool things, and you have an announcement that you're leaving Grossly Competent because you're so famous now.
Nope.
No? Okay.
I'm not leaving Grossly Competent. You can't make me. You can't force me out.
Tell us about your shout out.
So my shout out is to April Reed from the Missing Piece podcast. She was so wonderful and so gracious. This is several months ago, actually. I believe I recorded this back in May. Yes, I know. Yep. She's been sitting on this one. we had a really nice chat about learning and development and just being authentic in the workplace, my opinion on what AI looks like in the workplace and in learning and development for that fact. But it was genuine. I think it's about a half an hour long. So it's not a super long listen, but I could not recommend it enough. And I would definitely recommend going to check out some of her other episodes because she does a really nice job with her guests. She really has a fun way of kind of pulling out different aspects of what they do and their professions. It just makes it a really great listening experience. And she also does a blog for each of her episodes. So that's a nice recap. Yeah, I saw that. I was like, we are dropping the ball. It genuinely, it is really, really professional and just awesome. And April just couldn't be a nicer person. Just an absolute delight. I would love to have her on here. But we would definitely corrupt her. So I'm almost a little leery, but really, folks, sincerely, if you have a couple, half an hour or something like to spare, please give it a listen. Doesn't have to be my episode. My God, just an episode of hers. She will win you over. She's absolutely fantastic. So April, thank you. You are my shout out of the week.
Amazing. I love it.
Thanks.
I will shout out, didn't have much for this week, but I'll shout out clean air, clean breathable air. Appreciate it.
Cheers to that.
And open windows today. Turn the air off. Oh my gosh.
All right, man. We should probably wrap this puppy up. This is going long, but it's been awesome. And thank you for humoring me on the micromanagement part because that's been something I've been wanting to talk about for a while, and this was a great opportunity to do it. But
especially
folks,
when you told me how I needed to edit this episode, when I need to have it by, I have to send you a copy before it's even up.
Yeah.
And then all the questions you made me respond to.
Yeah. I'd hold your hand and do it, but yeah, right. I don't even know the first. Folks, that is the Patrick Show. He is the editing guru. So if anything's ever wrong with our editing, please send your complaints to Patrick Aylshire at... Kidding. Don't do that. Only send him praise because he's awesome. But you guys are also awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. That is the end of this episode, Uggos. And we will see you next time.
Ugly.